Welcome to week 37 of pregnancy and the 10th week of the third trimester. Are you feeling a bit like you are in limbo this week? The expecting mamas that we are following are feeling this way. It's getting closer to the time that you meet baby, but growth is still happening inside the womb. And we're going to cover baby developments this week and symptoms that you might be experiencing as well. And of course, we're going to go to our Think and Do board and see what is on the list for week 37. Welcome to the Birth Toolbox Classroom. I'm Alice, a doula and childbirth educator going week by week through pregnancy with you. Sounds like it's time for class. What's happening with the baby's development this week? At 37 weeks of development, the fetus is about 19.5 inches, which is about this long. The weight of the fetus is just about 6.3 to 6.8 pounds, which is about the weight of a chihuahua. Now, if a baby is born after the start of the 37th week and before the start of the 39th week, they're considered an early term baby. When babies are born this week, they may be ready for life outside of the womb, or they may need help with the transition, and they might have to spend time in a special care nursery or the NICU. Babies are totally different, and we can't really make accurate predictions on how ready they are. So babies that are still in the womb this week are experiencing a continuation of what we've been seeing in the third trimester so far. The brain and the lungs are continuing to grow and mature. In these final weeks of pregnancy, they've established their sleep patterns. They're turning hopefully into that head down position, and the fat layer is forming. Reflexes, they're being exhibited and they're being practiced. What symptoms and body changes should you expect at 37 weeks of pregnancy? Energy levels are wild in the 37th week of pregnancy. You might notice that at one moment you are so fatigued that you can barely make it through the day with your eyes open. And then all of a sudden you might find some wild energy where you are frantically nesting and getting obsessed with taking on some type of task on your house list that is completely unnecessary, but suddenly it becomes necessary. Both this fatigue and nesting urges are super common this week. Now, besides the fatigue and the nesting, other symptoms that you just might be feeling at your 37th week of pregnancy include Braxton Hicks contractions, leg swelling, shortness of breath, increased vaginal discharge, frequent urination, and heartburn.
Okay, it's week 37. We are getting closer. Yesterday I got checked and I'm at 4 centimeters, which is wild. So I think things are gonna be soon because today I woke up and I just feel a little off, just like nauseous, and my stomach kind of hurts, and it could be the start, but I also don't want to get my hopes up because I went to work this morning. I worked a half day and nothing progressed and whatnot. So we're just gonna lay low. We're just gonna chill. I have food in the crock pot. We're gonna have a good night and just enjoy, last family times and try to not get our hopes up. But I'm very excited and I hope that something happens tonight. So stay tuned.
I'm 37 weeks pregnant and definitely feeling ready to kind of get things moving and get this baby out of here. I am now the most pregnant that I've ever been. My first baby was born at 37 weeks and 0 days, so 37 right on the dot. And I am 37 and 4 now. So I've never made it this far through pregnancy before, and definitely this one is continuing to be a little bit more strenuous on me than previous. I've definitely started having a lot of Braxton Hicks contractions in the last week or so, which I hadn't had at any point prior in this pregnancy, and I never had it all in my first pregnancy. So that's been a little bit different, just getting used to that sort of being like a constant state. Also definitely having like a lot of that kind of pelvic girdle pain and discomfort still. It's not too bad. It's pretty manageable for the most part, but like slowly kind of increasing a little bit. So I can only imagine if I make it all the way to like 40, 41 weeks or whatever, that, that'll be quite a bit more significant. So we'll see how it goes. But I think in my update last week, I discussed that we had some concerning blood flow results in our 36-week ultrasound, and there was a concern that we may need to deliver early at 37 weeks. So we've had 3 ultrasounds now, 2 of which were, things aren't looking great, kind of inconclusive though. And then the most recent one was, well, your levels are still reading very high, but they're within normal range. So we're not going to go ahead and do anything rash. So we're not currently anticipating needing to induce or consider another C-section for this complication. We do still have one more ultrasound next week just to check again and see if things are still looking, high but normal, or if they have kind of tipped the scale a little bit. So it's kind of a weird limbo space to be in.
Hi, I'm 37 weeks pregnant, and this week I've been feeling pretty good. My symptoms have mainly been just being really tired and also having a lot of Braxton Hicks, which neither of those are really new. It's just been steadily ramping up, I guess. One thing that's been on my mind this week has been all the newborn procedures, as I've needed to, have that definitively decided as I'm getting closer. I ended up opting out of the eye ointment for the newborns, but I am doing vitamin K, but I'm doing drops, and I'm doing the newborn metabolic screening as well. So those are mainly the things that they asked me about.
On the do side of the board this week, we have postpartum meal prep and planning. Now, after you give birth, cooking is one of the last things that I want you and your partner to do. So if you can either prep in advance or purchase in advance meals for your freezer, it is going to make a huge difference after you give birth. One thing not to miss before next week, if you'd like a peek at my top products to make postpartum recovery easier and more enjoyable, I'm going to put a link to a list that I created down in the description below. Check that out. And I hope your 37th week of pregnancy is a great one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet, so that you can follow along through the weeks ahead. And I'll see you next week.